Namaskar. I will wait for a few moments before I proceed because I'm just going to give a couple of minutes for people to settle in, come in, join. Namaste. My name is Dimple, and it is my absolute delight to be here today on this Indic chat with you. I would like to begin with thanking the Indic Book Club, Indic Academy, Hari Kiranji, all my fellow Indic Jan and Swarajya magazine, which is the media partner for Indic Chat. I'm also thankful to all of you, dear listeners, for having taken time out this evening when you could be having a ball somewhere else, doing something else. So let's get going. My name, as you know for sure, is Dimple. I reside in what I call my corner of the free world at dimplehere.com, where in my world, poetry, prose, everything goes. Today this Facebook Live for Indic Chat is from my own personal Facebook profile. I have a presence across various social media platforms, and you could visit probably my Amazon author profile, which has all the details of my social media handles. I'm there on Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, Wattpad. I have a blog and Gab, of course. Before we talk about the actual theme of today's chat, which is my book, An Anthology of Poetry, I would like to tell you something about myself. Who am I and how am I here as a part of this particular initiative by the Indic Academy? I'm from the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and I have lived across various places in India. In Jammu, Srinagar, Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh. I have traveled to almost all the cities of India except the few in the northeast probably. So, well, you can say that I've traveled from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, I've traveled from Guwahati to Gandhinagar, and because of that, which I consider a very good fortune for myself, I have been able to find that inherent, unique string that runs throughout the geography of India in terms of our culture, in terms of our basic ethos that we would like to say our essential Indicness. The Indic quotient, which runs high across the geography of India, is something that you have to actually be exposed to get what I'm trying to say. And by virtue of the fact that I could get exposed to so many different cultures, I could see that, there's no denying the fact that whatever it was in the past, how the kingdoms were, how our history was, there is an undercurrent of uniqueness that runs. So what if I am chanting a mantra in Kashmir and the accent is very different from the accent of somebody else, a fellow Indian in Tamil Nadu chanting the same mantra? We believe in universal consciousness, we believe in brotherhood, we believe in mutual respect, and that is what makes us Indic. That is what makes our goal. And working on ourselves, ensuring that our thoughts, our words and our deeds are in alignment. This is the legacy that we have inherited from our forefathers. And when we talk about our Sabhyata and Sanskriti, this is very much a part of our Sabhyata and Sanskriti too. Focusing within and then looking without. Because whatever we seek outside is all within us. That is what one gains when one goes deeper and deeper into our whole culture. Well, this chat is not just about that. I'm sure you know much more about it than I do. But I was just talking to you about my exposure to various cultures across India. So I speak Hindi, English, Kashmiri, Urdu. I understand a little bit of Marathi, Gujarati, Punjabi, Dogri, and I do know a couple of go-to words in the South Indian languages, Tamil, Telugu, a little bit of the buzzwords of Malayalam. Kannada, I'm sorry, I just know the greetings, that's all. So essentially, I love everything there is in our country. I'm a very, very proud Indian. I'm a very, very proud Hindu. And I love the fact that I am here in the 21st century, a part of this resurgent India where we are finally finding ourselves, our foothold in this great scheme of affairs. As a child, I lost my home and hearth in a jiffy to Islamist separatist movement in the state of JNK. I'm a Kashmiri Pandit. And I could see how things can change for a person in the twinkling of an eye. That is what people generally say, right? So I had a very, very comfortable, luxurious childhood, and then suddenly, within a day or two, it all changed. And at that point of time, I was too young to actually, understand what it means to be uprooted for a concept called Nizam-e-Mustafa. That was very difficult for me to comprehend as a child. And, my major concerns were about, why is it that from a room to myself, I am in this one room place where everybody is cramped, and why do I have to wake up at 4 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning so that, the 17 members household doesn't get inconvenienced and I actually am able to go to school. So those concerns were paramount at that point of time, and probably before we shifted or before we had to move to Jammu, I had started writing poetry, and probably when the fortunes turned, as one could say now when I look retrospectively, I think I started channelizing it all and I started writing. And there was a time when I was in school and my poems appearing in the local dailies was a weekly affair, and it just kept growing up. But then when I went to college, engineering, my MBA and all, writing actually came a little bit down. And then when I joined the corporate world, with the onset of PPTitis and Excel sheet syndrome, the expression for pure bliss or just to say something that moved me, it took a back seat, and my writing dwindled. But yes, I did keep penning in my thoughts once or twice in my diary and all. And so it happened that there was a big break in my writing or creative expression for a really, really long time. And then in 2013 April, and I just started again. There was something that happened, and I just felt like again expressing myself. And I also came across a couple of my diaries and past writing that my mom had kept safe. So I went through it, and something clicked, and probably I was back into the groove, and I had got my mojo back. So there I was, a part of the corporate world and also writing. A couple of friends who saw my writing at that point of time, they encouraged me to start my own blog. And I had no clue about it, trust me. I just went to WordPress and just did follow and put it up. And I posted a couple of poems of mine there, and that was in April 2013, I believe. And it just went, so sporadic writing. If you just check my blog even now, you'll see a little bit of writing, there's a concentration, and then again there's a lull. In October 2014, when the movie Haider released, at that point of time, for me, it was a really shaking moment. Because I saw that movie and I realized that in that movie, though it was acclaimed as a fine cinematic masterpiece, but it wasn't factually accurate, and I could see my story being completely wiped. Happened, I came back home and I wrote a post about Haider, and I shared it with one individual, a social media influencer who I knew through another friend. And the next thing I know is that I am getting responses from people, and my website is getting hits, and the blog is getting comments from people, strangers. I've been on Twitter since 2000, and I've been on Twitter since 2009. And I used to be what one would call a passive listener. So I would just follow largely inanimate handles because I used to source all my content from Twitter. I've not been watching TV or news or subscribing to magazines other than Swarajya magazine, which I definitely do recommend to everybody, not just because they are the media partner. So I used to be a passive listener is what I was saying, and when that response to Haider came, I felt a little more confident to put myself out. So yes, I had been putting my writing on the blog, but that review about Haider, which did resonate with a lot of people and they felt inclined to engage with me, that gave me a lot of confidence to start unabashedly putting forth whatever I felt about things that I really did feel strongly about. And then I kept writing. On the 19th of January 2016, in fact right before that, there were a couple of incidents again related to the childhood memories or the trauma or the persecution that one sometimes feels that one has just put somewhere down the memory layers and it's just hidden or it has died, but it never does die actually, and that's what I found. So a colleague of mine asked me as to why is it that I wasn't living in Kashmir when the place was so beautiful and the weather was amazing. And for a moment I was in shock. I did not know what to say, and I was like, well, I hope you realize that how things are there. And he kept insisting and he kept trying to prod, little realizing that, you know, he had stepped on a very raw nerve, which was really, really raw at that point of time. A couple of sensitive colleagues, they managed the situation, and I just went back and I realized that, oh my God, I'm in 2016, the persecution and the entire forceful, you know, the pogrom that they had and ethnic cleansing, it was in the year 1990. So in 2016, if a well-educated member of the corporate world who's expected to be aware has no idea about a fellow Indian, forget the religion, it is a matter of shame. And then just before 19th of January, I saw the son of the ex-chief minister, who himself is an ex just made me sit down, tap into my memory pool. Yes, a lot of scab got removed, the wounds opened up, but I decided there and then that I would certainly not let it die down. I would not let anybody change my history. Before the 19th of January, I think a night before, I saw another video by a supposed journalist of Nuance. I don't want to name names because she's, you know, apparently has a peshaw for lawsuits. I really don't want to do that. But she had a video in which she was actually insinuating that we were to be blamed for our own ethnic cleansing. You know, the Jew-Nazi conundrum, it just came back to me, and I sat down on 19 and I started something that I call an exercise to exorcise the ghosts of the past. I wrote the first post. It had been many years, but it kept coming back. I did not have any hatred. I just had that catharsis, that one can say. Currently, that is a 5-post series. In June, Mindmakers, one of my favorite portals, offered to publish it, the series entirely, and 5 posts of the series are already live there. And after the first post on Mindmakers, there was a lot of buzz, positive feedback, and I felt encouraged, all because of you guys. And then there was some furor about the mainstream media folks wanting to censor social media. And having seen, you know, I'd grown up with the time when The World This Week was a program you really looked forward to, and you saw those journalists and you really wanted to be like that, those people, and the news that they brought to your living rooms, little realizing that probably all that they were good at is English, and little realizing that it's okay for me not to have a good grasp on the language. It's not my mother tongue, for heaven's sake. But as I grew up and as I started getting exposed to social media, I found the knack for validating news peddled by the mainstream media. This entire thing of them wanting social media to be censored was really totally, it struck a discordant note. And I wrote the post called Chorus to Choke, Censoring the Social Media. It was published by Mindmakers. I'm really thankful to Pramod, Adit and Sunanda. And it really did resonate with you all, and the feedback that I got is like, yes, a lot of people had grown up with those memories, looking up at all those journalists, and then realizing that those people had feet of clay. And that is how I decided that, okay, if nobody is going to give me the truth, if I know something about a particular event, incident, person, thing, idea, thought, let few posts, and then I started writing about anything and everything that moved me in any form that I wanted to. So I write in prose form, I write in poetry form. So you'll have satire, you'll have anecdotes, musings, you will have serious articles, you will have poetry also. In fact, yesterday one journalist was trying to provoke people using Faiz's poetry, and thanks to her, I was moved to write a response. I hope you go check it out on my SoundCloud or on my blog too. So that's about my journey as a columnist or a writer. I am not a journalist, I'm not a professional writer. I write because I believe in expressing myself on things that I really feel strongly about. In the course of the last 1 year, I've written for Mindmakers, I've written for Swarajya, News and Views, India Facts. Well, on other pieces, I really do my solo writing. For history-related pieces, I am so thankful to the wonderful learned True Indology, who I have collaborated with for a number of posts. I have learned a lot from that end, and I'm really grateful and thankful for that. Coming to this particular piece, the book that is the topic of discussion, there is a story behind it. How did this book come into being? The book, which is called Soul Call of Love and More, a tribute to Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Earlier this year, on the 17th of January to be precise, I met with a near-death episode. I was hit by a biker. I was hit by a biker, and I ended up with a broken pelvis. I had a 5 centimeters wound on my head. My left side was completely immobile, and obviously a lot of other sundry aches and pains that would be there. And the reason I'm alive today and kicking, wearing this necklace and not having a heart on the wall behind me is because 3 wonderful young ladies played the Good Samaritan for me and ensured that timely assistance, medical assistance, was rendered to me. I was taken to the nearest municipal hospital, 7 stitches on my head, which I believe is basically opening of my crown chakra, and here I am. So after 7 days of hospitalization and constant painkillers and all, and around a 65 days forcible rest period, I got up. In those days when I could not even move, so on the 10th of February was the day when I finally could move on my own, and then from the walker to the walking stick, and now I'm on physiotherapy, and it doesn't hurt too much, so I'm okay. Just that this whole patch has turned white, probably it was shock or something, but I'm just glad that I just said bye to Yamaraj and came back, and he was kind enough to let me go. I decided not to get depressed. I decided to take the picture of the stitches that I had on my head and convert it into a dragonfly or a butterfly to pep me up, inspire me, and remind me that the time that we have here on this world is finite. And while I was sitting on the bed, gaining a lot of unnecessary weight, I think I also gained a fresh perspective on life, towards life. And I was just going through the archives, whatever I had written, and I realized that as a kid, I had come across a wonderful poem, How Do I Love Thee, by this amazing poet, Elizabeth Barrett Browning. And I was so impressed by the poem, which is a part of her sonnets from the Portuguese, sonnet number 43, in fact. I read up about her, and I was amazed by her life story, the tremendous zest for life, this lady who was not only immensely gifted as a poet, but who battled ailment all her life. You must look her story up, and she was in love with the poet Robert Browning, and how they defied the society, and how she defied her father to be with the love of her life, and the kind of writing she did. She was in those days considered to be a likely inheritor to Wordsworth's legacy. That is how she was. And when I read those lines, How Do I Love Thee, I was like, is it possible that, I was a young teenager, I believe. Yeah, I was a teenager. And I was like, is it possible that I will be able to write about something, any emotion, the way this lady has in those days, using simple words which are very profound. I had written it and I thought that, okay, probably once I grow up, maybe I'll write 10 poems on this. And this is what I had written ages ago. So while I was there on my recovery bed, I chanced across this piece and I was like, oh my God, why don't I do something about it? I've written so many articles, hard-hitting, as you people choose to call those, topical, writing about even Dhulagarh, Kairana, whatever is happening, how the people do scavenge journalism and stuff. So I was like, let me write something about an emotion that I really believe is the core frequency for all human beings. Love, compassion, empathy is what I believe we should fundamentally be operating from. If we do that, then the whole world is heaven. So I sat down and I rummaged through my writing, and I was shocked that I had actually written more than 20 poems on love. Different stages of love, different kinds of love, different types of love. And so I decided to keep it to 20, and I created an anthology on my own. Just a second, I'm just trying to see. So I created it all there, and I was like, I'm here on my bed, who is going to publish my book? Lo and behold, my friend Sai Swarupa Iyer, the wonderful author of the amazing book Abhaya, you must really look that book up. She suggested that I not waste any more further time and just go for self-publishing. And that's how I went to Kindle Direct, uploaded the whole piece, designed my own cover, whatever sang to me, resonated with me, I picked it up, put it up, and there it was, out there as an offering for the entire world, there for you in all its unabashed glory. So I put a part of my life out there, a different form of my life, which I know a lot of my readers weren't aware about. So I wrote about love, different stages of love, my experience of love based on my observation of people and experiences and events. If you were to go through the book, and I seriously, strongly suggest you do, because I am doing an Indic chat on the book. Currently there is a promotion also, so you can just go and avail of that. You will see that there is an underlying story beneath the whole anthology flow. So there is this initial meeting, the bonding, the disenchantment, the separation, rekindling, realization, experience, enrichment, and learning. The love that I talk about in this book is just not that male-female kind of a love, the sexual love. It is the love that is between two individuals, any kind of individuals, siblings, parents, spouse, friends, team members. The bond that two people have. That is the kind of love I have written about. And therefore, this is one book which actually will have a different meaning for a different kind of reader. Somebody who has just started his journey of life as an adult will see different meanings in it. Somebody who's middle-aged will certainly find something different. And those who are in the glorious period of their lives, they will realize that it does have a lot of experience also captured in its pages. I would like to take a lot of queries that I'm sure you would have. I could hear a lot of pings, which I think, yes, there are a lot of comments, and I'm sorry I didn't focus on those earlier. We will take the queries, but before we go to that part, I would like to read one poem, if you would let me. So I will talk about what I believe is love. The last poem that I have written is entitled Know This About Love. And before we move into the query session, I would like to read it out for you. And then I would certainly encourage you to go online, buy the book, go through the whole piece, feel it for yourself, and get back in touch with me. Let me start. Know this about love. Before signing off, let me with you share why this heart of mine for love does care. Know this about love, it engulfs fools and sages. Know this about love, it can't be expressed in pages. Know this about love, it breaks all cages. Know this about love, it embraces and engages. Know this about love, it grows in various stages. Know this about love, it lives across the ages. It lives across the ages. Now, I am here ready for any queries that you would have about my book, the specific book that we discussed, my past writing, my recent writing, about IndicChat, the whole construct, and anything else. If I am able to answer these right now in real time, I will certainly do that. If for some reason I feel that I'm not able to answer your query right now, I will certainly ensure that I get back to you either in the comment section or I just reach out to you directly. So let's just scroll along. Fabulous. Thank you. Thank you. I think Twitter and Peppy because this should be told. How did your association with True Indology come about, G? Well, I interacted with True Indology on Twitter only, and since I had been writing and I had seen the tweets that are there on his timeline are extremely informative, and in fact, if you just go through the Twitter timeline there, it is a book in itself. So I just wanted to ensure that, you know, that amazing treasure trove information should pass on to the readers. But then as we see these days, attention span of everybody, me included, has come down, right? So unless you make it extremely reader friendly and crunch it down, the takers get reduced. So I offered to help in that respect, and I was just fortunate, and that's all that I would like to talk about right now, because as of now, True Indology is anonymous. That's all I can say. So any questions that you have about the book, or is it that my monologue was so monotonous and boring that you just forgot to even come up with any queries? Anything? Okay, Hemant Kumar ji is saying, hi, we had a nice fight on Twitter. Okay, Hemant ji, I do not fight. I have no animosity, hatred for anybody. Trust me, I might feel a little bit irritated at some point of time. I let the feeling come in and then I let it go. So no hard feelings at all. I'm glad we follow each other, or you follow me, whatever. Okay, any other questions? Any other questions? Brave girl, yes Anjali, thank you. But you know what? I learned it from the inimitable Kuval Malla, so ready to wait. Anish Gokhale says, great, yes, I know you are my one-man supporting club. Manish Jetli says, brave of you, thank you. Brave, brave, okay, I'm awesome. Thank you so much. You have good taste and you're a lovely sister, Suvarna. Okay. Any plans for a new book? Thank you so much. Thank you for asking. So yes, let me just say that I have taken some time off for a couple of months to actually finish a couple of writing projects which had been calling out to me. So I did tell you that I have been managing a writing and corporate career for some time. So I've taken a little bit of a hiatus or a sabbatical to finish a couple of projects. I'm writing currently on something which is nothing to do with politics or poetry. It's a book on wellness, living well, healing, consciousness, and let's just tentatively say how to live life 10 on 10. That is one book that I'm working on, and I hope to be able to actually expand the series, the 5-post series about what is called the Exodus, but which actually is not an Exodus. It's actually ethnic cleansing and persecution of Kashmiri Pandits. I wish to actually elaborate upon that, and if possible make it into a book, God willing. I am also working parallelly on a book of short stories, but basically from the feminine point of view. I'm not a feminist, I'm an equalist, and I believe in the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So yes, I believe that Shakti can really move wonders, but I also believe that everybody has those two aspects, the masculine and the feminine within, and it's just a matter of tapping into it that ways. So I'm really delighted to share with you that from the modest success of my book on the e-platform, there might be a print release of the book, and Indic Book Club, Indic Academy has very kindly offered to help you with that, and as and when that is scheduled, I will certainly let you know. But that doesn't mean that you will not go and buy my book right now and give me the feedback that I think you should. Okay, DV Sridharan says, wish your talents included a bit of anger at least. Something that I think I should talk about, because people seem to believe that if somebody is polite or kind to people, it means that that person doesn't feel strongly about something. I believe that when we say that we are proud Hindus, we believe in dharma, we believe in Sanskriti, we believe in the rich legacy that we have, everything that we talk about, it's nothing but what the Western world now markets to us as consciousness, universal consciousness, awakening, ascending, etc., etc., etc. But I believe it's no point just claiming to have inherited that legacy when you're not living it. At any point of time, if your thoughts, your words and your deeds are not in alignment, you really cannot call yourself an Indic, or at least I cannot call myself an Indic. It did not come to me like this. I had to work on it. I have to work on it constantly. There are times when sometimes I feel a little upset and I just let it go. But let me just tell you that it's being Indic in the right sense is a 24/7 kind of a job, wherein right from your breath to your emotions to your words to your body language, you're aware of everything. Samvedana aapke andar hai. Us samvedana ko samjhe aur ye jane that this too shall pass. It is all ephemeral. What is eternal is the truth. And what is the truth? It is our own individual journey. So if you don't see anger, it doesn't mean that I don't feel strongly about things. Just that I would like to put things in a better perspective in a human, as a human being, one human being to another. As I told you, I believe in empathy, compassion and love as my core foundation. And if there's any misalignment, I try and bring it back. So yesterday I wrote a post about terrorism, which is driven largely by Islamists, radical fundamentalists across the globe, using the verses, citing the verses in their holy book. And I said that I do not believe that all Muslims are bad. You should not actually be branding them. We should not be. That is how I believe. Imagine me. I have actually left everything there. I had to go through a washing machine cycle. My life, how I am right now. Yes, I'm thankful to the experience which enriched me, but I had something which could have embittered me. I'm not embittered, because I believe that even if there's one Muslim who is actually espousing the Indic sentiment, the Indic ethos, we cannot blame them. So I say that yes, I feel totally antagonistic sometimes by what is happening in the name of the religion, but I say that please, let's just say that okay, this is not happening. This is what these people are doing. Your kids are being taught all this. Do you really want them to grow as such people? Because if you're feeding them something right now in their childhood, you're programming them into individuals who will not be able to function as human beings who believe in the core values. So ask the question, but it doesn't mean berating everybody. I know there will be a lot of people who will have a disconnect with what I say, how I feel, but yes, it is okay. We can agree to disagree. I do not have enemies, but that doesn't mean that I will not be aware, alert, and ready to strike if the need be. Polite assertion is what I believe in. Insistence is what I believe in. Follow through is what I believe in. Focusing on my goal is what I believe in. But if I can do it with love, why not? Okay. Yes, Sumati, you have great taste and ditto. Any tips for someone who wants to write a book but doesn't know how to go about it? Rameshji, I am actually not a pro. I'm just a Nausikhiya who just likes to write. It just gives me inner bliss, and that's why I write. So I don't think I qualify as someone who can give you tips, but I believe that be it playing chess, be it writing a book, be it canoeing, anything that you really are moved to, just do it. Don't do something just because you feel you should do it. If you are inclined to write, why do you want to write is the question. Do you really want to write? If you don't write the book, are you going to feel that something is there which is missing in your life? If so, then trust me, you will know what to do. Having said that, If there's any way you feel I can help you, if you have a draft, if you have a concept and you believe that if you run it through me, I will be able to add some value to it, I would be more than happy to assist you. That would be my real proud privilege. Yes, DV, Hindus also inherited muscular valor, but in the 21st century of information technology, this is the strongest muscle, not this, not this. That's what I believe. Aha, dada. Any other questions? Loved listening to my journey. Yes, Nitin. Venkat Sundaramji, thank you. Your observations on love. As I began, that love is the basic core vibration. If I'm annoyed with you, Sumati, let's just say you're almost like a sister to me. Yes, disclosure, yeah, I have my own fan club here, acting as listeners, random readers, but jokes apart. So if when I look at you or when I talk to you with the basic foundation of love, even if I'm upset with you, Sumati, that upset will manifest in a very different manner and it will reach you. I believe love is something which is between anything. I can love if you look at my book, and I should have mentioned it, you can actually look at love between an inanimate and animate thing also. For example, if you are in love with a book or a dish or a color or a dress or a style or the weather, you might like it initially, you might be disenchanted with it, and you might just want it to go, and then again the cycle will repeat. That is how I believe. So I think it's an amazing thing. Being in love, feeling love, expressing love, manifesting love. If you're operating from that basic foundation, the world is a different place altogether, trust me. Love helps you in changing perspective. You know, when your mom irritates you and when your manager irritates you, why is our response very different? Because of the frequency or the foundation from which we operate. Great learning experience. Namaste, Raji. Thank you so very much. I think there are not many questions, so I would rather take this opportunity to talk a little bit about my social media presence. I am on Twitter, Facebook. Currently, I'm talking to you through my profile, but I have my own blog page as well. So I would encourage you to please follow it. I'll be posting all the details in the comments section in some time. So I would encourage you to do that. Follow my blog, follow me on Twitter, Facebook, etc., etc. I am there on SoundCloud, and I actually started SoundCloud because of DV, who is my favorite South Indian and who does not know how to write Hindi, but he understands Hindi, so I record poetry and put it up for him to comprehend and give me loads of comments back. Coming back, Indic Chat is a unique initiative that has been started by the Indic Academy and the Indic Book Club, and this is a platform through which they try to give upcoming and existing authors a medium to interact with the audience. There are two different varieties or flavors of Indic Chat. So we have the Facebook Live, which keeps happening, and there is a Zoom session also. So it is essentially a weekly program. So Sundays 7 p.m. is when we will have the Indic Chats, and we've been having Indic Chats galore. So we have Facebook Live sessions by the authors themselves, or we have a Zoom session wherein, there's one person interviewing an author or an activist or an intellectual or somebody who has an Indic quotient and wants to talk about his own experience, his work, etc., etc. And in the Zoom session, the listeners can actually plug in and sign in and put forth questions. In the Facebook Live session, it's more like the author or the person who's conducting the chat talks about the particular topic, and then the readers or the listeners can actually put forth their observations through the comments. The next Indic Chat that we are going to have is next week, next Sunday at 7 p.m. and my very good friend Nitin Sridhar will be conducting that chat. He of the India Facts fame. His book on Hinduism has opened to rave reviews, and I'm sure it will be extremely enriching for you to. Oh, I'm sorry, I need to pause. Yes, Amit Bhai, what is the question? What is the question that I missed? I'm sorry, what is the question? Sorry, folks. Amit Bhai, what is the question, please? Date for my upcoming new book launch. I think I did address that question. So it could be in July, and I'm sure if once it materializes, I will go and announce it to the world. Considering the so many social media handles I have, I'm gonna talk to the whole world about it. Hopefully July. How did your association with Indic Book Club come about? Okay, great. Well, it's an interesting story. My association with the Indic Book Club is through my dearest friend, Mayuresh Didolkar, whose amazing book, The Dark Road, is about to be launched on the 2nd of June on Juggernaut's app. So Mayuresh knew me through another mutual friend, Vinay, who had been after my life to put out my writing into the world. And Mayuresh liked the Kashmir series that I had done on my own blog, and he introduced me to Mindmakers team, Adit, Pramod and Sunanda. And Mayuresh saw some merit in my work, and he introduced me to the Indic Academy, Indic Book Club team, and it's been a fab almost 1 year of association, of enrichment, engagement, interaction, and huge amount of learning and encouragement. Sumedha ji says, wonderful chat. You are amazing as always, Sumedha ji. Thank you so very much. Are there any other questions that you would want to put forth? Anything? I am going to repeat that I'm expecting everybody who is watching this live chat right now to go buy my book, give me feedback, good, bad, ugly, because I appreciate it all, because I'm sure it will help me hone my skill. And those who are going to watch the video later on, please do go and buy my book. Can you put a real name to Orhava? You are the IBC. Thank you. Shekhar Malik ji, can you put a real name to True Indology, or have you already, but I missed it? Well, okay, what I strongly believe in is letting anonymous handles be, not violating the privacy of individuals who choose to be anonymous, probably for a reason. The day True Indology ji comes out, everybody would know. Right now, I'm not at liberty to disclose, and I'm one person who keeps confidences. Trust me, my book on this anthology that I've written is based on experiences of other people. More so on other people, less on my own. So I keep confidences, I don't name names, and I am the secret keeper, and my book of short stories is entitled The Keeper of Secrets, which should be out soon, hopefully, insha Ganesha. You are the IBC Dynamo, Dimple. Yes, Sridharan, you have astute taste. So, no, I'm not the IBC Dynamo. IBC in itself is an amazing, enriching experience. You have to be a part of it. I sincerely encourage anybody who's watching it now or who's going to watch it later to definitely follow the Twitter handle and Facebook page of Indic Academy, Indic Book Club, the events that they organize, the book launches, you know, the talks, Grateful to Gurus, other events, really will help you in upping your Indic quotient. And I say it not because I'm a part of it, but because having been exposed to it from afar also, I could see the difference that it makes. Yes, I am. Yeah, it's pretty interesting actually. Okay, yes. So yes, I have got around 21 reviews if I add .in and .com. One is a very bad review, and that calls me a supremacist, Brahmanist, etc., etc. So I'm sure that that's not somebody who really loves me for my work or for who I am. So I'll just let that pass. So 20 positive reviews were amazingly good, and Amit Bhai, you were so encouraging. I really appreciate the review, and trust me, you've got good taste. Yes, True Indology, he or she is a bundle of knowledge. Convey my regards to him or her. I hope someday, one day, True Indology G watches this video and realizes that Shekhar Malik has a message for him or her. And whenever I next connect with him or her, I will certainly pass on my messages. Anything else, or do we call it a day? Any question if I have missed for whatever reason, please let me know. or you know where I am, you know how to reach me, how to find me. Actually, you can find more of me in my writing. So you can find more of me on my blogs, you can find more of me in my book, in my columns, because that is where I am completely who I am. And once I put something out, it's out there in the universe, and I forget it and I move on to the next project. So right now I am totally focused on this book, on how to live a 10 by 10 life, and The Keeper of Secrets. So these are the two projects that are keeping me occupied, and my physiotherapy sessions are definitely giving me grief. But yes, I'm happy to be alive. This is second life, and I guess I might very soon pen a column on what all I learned from meeting Yamraj and coming back. I think it is around 7:45. Everybody would want to now go and have a lovely Sunday evening or before Monday kind of re-energizing session. So thank you all for taking time out and spending it with me. I'm thankful to all of you. I will see you out there soon. I am looking forward to you giving me feedback for my book, my columns, my writing. Sumati wants me to wait, so I will wait. Yes, my dear. Waiting for you, Sumati. All waiting. Any other question in the interim till we wait for Sumati? My song for Yamraj. Do you really want to? Oh, okay. Let me see. Actually, there's not a song for Yamraj, but there's a song that I wrote for Shivji. Would you like me to try my voice? Just a second. Give me a moment. Or rather, let me just say one thing. Rather than a song for Yamraj, let me actually recite one of my most favorite poems. You guys have to listen to this. I recently had the good fortune of meeting Dr. Meenakshi Jain, who's written amazing books. One of those, the recent ones is Rama in Ayodhya, wherein she talks about the case and what those who do not want the temple to be built up have done. She also talked about how our forefathers actually have fought to keep our heritage alive. It was an amazing, moving experience for me. And as I was coming back home from that experience, I was driven to compose a poem which goes Ayodhya ke Ram. And I would want to recite it for you guys if you would allow me. Okay, yes, of course, sure. रामचंद्र कह गए सिया से ऐसा कलयुग आएगा, रामायण की भूमि में प्रमाण राम का मांगा जाएगा। राम राज्य सा राज नहीं, सो राम भरोसे चल रहे हम, भले राम राम से दिन आरंभ, हे राम से कष्ट खत्म। राम धुन से धैर्य मिला, राम लीला से कौतूहल, राम जाने क्यों आज के युग में दैतीय शक्ति हुई प्रबल। जहां रामधारी हुआ दिनकर, रामचंद्र हुआ गुहा क्यों, ये छुरी सा सीताराम पूजे चीन और माऊ। मुंह में राम बगल में छुरी, रखने वालों का सपना, राम नाम जपते जपते माल पर आया हो अपना। जहां राम नाम है परम सत्य, मांगा जा रहा वहां प्रमाण, न्याय देवी के चक्षु खुले तो पाएंगी घट घट में राम। रघुपति राघव राजा राम भारत के बापू गाते थे, हिंदू मुस्लिम सिख ईसाई मंत्र मुग्ध अपनाते थे। खोजो मन मानव मिट्टी, इतिहास भविष्य या वर्तमान, चारों दिशाएं पुलकित होकर करती हैं जिनका गुणगान। भारत भूमि के मनवांछित थे, हैं, रहेंगे सदा श्री राम। Hi Jijit, yes, as I told you, I'm writing the book not on consciousness because then there will be a lot of deep dive happening into it. I'm trying to write a small book in collaboration with a good friend of mine. Her name is Anu. She's a healer, and I'm trying to write a book, and I'm actually working on it. Not trying. I'm writing a book on how to live a 10 by 10 life, which is basically living an awakened, conscious life. So I think Jijit, you got what I am doing, and I will certainly get in touch with you once the first manuscript draft is ready. And Anything else, my dear friends, listeners, readers? For me, this has been fun because, you know, I get to monopolize the entire conversation without even knowing the expressions thereof. I don't know if you were bored, entertained, laughing at me, whatever, but I had fun looking at the camera and assuming that yes, wow, see, I get to speak. Wah wah. Thank you, Sumedha ji. Thank you so much. Now, Sumati, anything else? Oh, I think I will pen a song for Yamraj now that you've given me this tip. Before I sign off, one line from a particular piece that I composed yesterday, just a small part of it. And then I sign off with the line that you have to buy my book and you have to follow my writing. So this one goes, हम देखेंगे कि अब कोई ना देखेगा वो जुल्म जिहाद का जलजला जिसका तुमको अब भी है गुमा अब के कोई ना देखेगा इस बार तो हम ये देखेंगे हम देखेंगे कि अब कोई ना देखेगा वो दिन जब दीन हुआ हावी हैवानियत की उड़ी आंधी सहरा से सूखी रूह लिए दर पर दस्तक दहशत ने दी अब के कोई ना देखेगा इस बार तो हम ये देखेंगे हम देखेंगे कि अब कोई ना देखेगा देखकर जब हवाला काबे का बुत तोड़े गए उठवाए गए मुस्तकबिल की बुनियाद को जब बाजारों में नीलाम किया और समझे कि खुद का नाम किया अब के कोई ना देखेगा इस बार तो हम ये देखेंगे हम देखेंगे शान हमारे भारत की माँ हिंद के सब बाशिंदों की भारत माँ की जय का नारा गूंजेगा कोने कोने से नफरत की हाट लगाए जो बैठा है घात लगाए जो उस शख्स सोच इरादे को कर नेस्तो नाबूद इस दुनिया से रुखसत होते हम देखेंगे इस बार तो हम ये देखेंगे Thank you so very much. I had an amazing time and it's been my absolute delight and honor to have had this Indic chat with you. I will certainly try and scroll through the comments once this is over and see if I have not answered any query, comment. I'll get in touch with you for sure. I'll also put in my social media handle details in the comments so that you can follow me if you're not doing it already, and if you're not, you must rectify that. I so look forward to your feedback on my book that's already out there and on the books that I am going to write soon. Thank you for the love. In all humility and gratitude, namaste.